What's up, Dashleys fam? Welcome to Taking Sides, the Marriage Podcast. This is our podcast room.
This is our office, podcast room.
We're taking you inside today to give you a live recording of one of our podcasts from Taking Sides. You've probably seen the other one from our Big Little Life podcast. That's like our personal podcast where we chat about life, chat about kids, what's been on our mind, news stories, things like that.
It can get a little heavy. And so we created this podcast to just be essentially the fun. I would say this is my favorite podcast to record.
It is, because it is where you guys send your questions to us with it's like relationship questions. And Ash and I take sides or just give our 2 cents on the matter. We don't claim to be experts or therapists or anything. We just say what we think about it, and we give our experiences if we've gone through something similar or things we've heard, with the hopes that it can be somewhat, enlightening, maybe helpful, hopefully funny, and definitely entertaining if nothing else.
Yeah, you guys are not alone. We have issues. And we love taking sides on your issues, so...
Shall we do the first one?
Okay, this one is called Therapy Problems. If I could name, a chapter of our other podcast, Big Little Life, I would name it Therapy Problems.
Why?
I feel like the last 6 months of our podcast has essentially been our therapy problems. So we are qualified. So qualified for this one.
Maybe. Let's see. All right, she says, I have been loving listening to your podcast. I feel like my husband and my personalities really parallel your guys's. So I seem to always be able to relate. We also both have 2 little ones around the same age, a boy and a girl. All right. Here's my question. My husband and I seem to be where you were about a year ago. We just had our second child, and we seem to not be able to communicate as well anymore. Don't get me wrong, our marriage is overall good, and we are still just as in love as ever, but like you guys put it, I feel like we are not really best friends anymore. So I guess I'm wondering, with all your marriage counseling, what exercises or ideas you have felt that have helped you get back. Also, Dallin, how do you think you got to a point where you could get rid of feeling shackled by the shoulds? Oh, we did an episode where we talked about stop shoulding yourself and just doing what you actually want to do from a place inside rather than other people expecting you to do it. She says, how did I get rid of feeling shackled by my shoulds? That is so me. And in all my pondering, I always wonder how to let go of so many shoulds when it seems to be so much a part of who I am to try and meet the expectations of everyone else. Wow, what a good question. Love you guys. Love what you are doing and how open you two always seem to be about your relationship. Thank you. Anonymous. Man, Ash, that's a good one.
I can start. So... for Dallin and I guess we got to a point. We started out as best friends, and that was what we loved being, and it just kind of felt like a lot of pressures and anxieties and just crap was getting in the way around the time when James was born. Not brought on by James by any means. It was just kind of like a culmination of living together for 4 years, probably, and just all of the things that we weren't addressing or little issues that were bugging us that we were kind of burying were all just coming to a head. And you add in sleep deprivation and you add in no personal time because you have 2 under 2.
Throw all those things into the pot, mix it around, boil it with 3 nights of no sleep and
pregnancy hormones and postpartum depression, and it just
sprinkle it with a bit of anxiety and depression and issues from your upbringings and all that good stuff. Right. You got yourself a recipe for a good old-fashioned marriage problem,
so I guess this is me looking at it in the past, looking at it from the future. If I were to look at it, in that moment when I looked at it, I thought we just had a marriage problem. Looking at it now, we had our own personal problems that were getting in the way of us being able to be, we were functioning, but for us, it was getting in the way of our happiness. Things were just
personal problems combined with communication problems is how I would say it.
I was having a pretty rough bout with postpartum, actually a really rough bout. So I had that in my corner, lots of anxiety, just gloomy, dreary. It was just yucky. And then Dallin has a lot of kind of anxieties around. I can let you say what. Just around kind of taking care of our family and being able to provide for us, because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom with my babies, and I had 2 of them, and it was going to be really hard to pay for daycare, and he wanted to give me that opportunity and to take care of our family. And there's just like a lot of fears and anxieties on his side that was causing a lot of stress. And if we had I wish we could go back and have the tools to say like, oh, I need help, or oh, like, let me verbalize my feelings and let you know in a calm way like what I need, or like look internally and figure out what I need so that I can stop just like feeling like my world is coming down, or like that I'm emotionally out of control, or like that I just don't have a handle on myself and I can't stop crying, or I can't stop feeling angry, or
I think if I were to describe my personality and traits that I developed growing up and how I learned to function in my world and in school and moving right during middle school when like I'm like forming who I am and going through puberty and all that fun stuff, like I learned to be a professional people pleaser. I learned to pick up on what other people expected. I learned to pick up on their sense of humor. I learned to pick up on like how to please other people. And I was a pretty good chameleon, and that gets you along through high school, and you have a lot of friends, some really good friends, but mostly just a lot of surface level. Oh, hey, how's it going? Relationships, and bump into at a party and shoot the breeze and move along and stuff like that. I was really good at meeting expectations of other people, and I was not good at all at validating my own feelings. I was not in tune with, I was really unable to, I would should myself so much. I shouldn't feel that way, I should feel this way, or I should do that, or I should be okay with this, or I was a professional shooter, and I was a professional people pleaser.
Well, and then I think it kind of bled over onto me, like, Ashley, you should be okay.
And I put those expectations on other people, like, I was so, like...
And I should have been okay, I just wasn't. And
you shouldn't complain, you should be grateful for what you have, you should. Instead of acknowledging your real feelings about something and saying it's okay to feel stressed about this, it's okay to be angry at this, it's okay to be drowning, it's okay to...
For 6 months.
It's okay to ask for help, it's okay to not know how to do this, it's okay to be afraid, it's okay, and then from there you can say, because I feel this, I want to act this way, instead of like fast tracking like your anxiety into your actions and getting mad, because anger is like a secondary emotion. The emotions behind anger are like fear, basically, or guilt, or stress.
Yeah. This might be getting confusing. And
is this getting confusing? But anyways,
we're babbling, but we're just saying the things that we discovered.
Yeah, if I could boil it down, it would be to learn emotional intelligence. And I say that like I'm a professional at it now. Definitely not. I still have to proactively like recognize when I'm shooting myself and say, no, if you really don't want to do that, like let's see if somebody else can do it, or you can take a break for 10 minutes to like recenter yourself and then tackle this because it resonates with your deeper values, although it doesn't seem super fun right now, or something like that, versus just I should buck it up and do this and blah, 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 and even though I might resent somebody later because of it. So like, is this making any sense?
I think what I'm thinking you're saying is like, yeah, we needed to learn how to communicate with each other, but we also needed to learn how to communicate with ourselves. We both are kind of the type of person to, like put your shoulder to the wheel and put your head down and keep working and trying to be like the happy, fun person in the room. Like, I don't want to burden anyone with my emotions.
Anyone with your emotions.
And even like
oh man, that hits home for me
like
too.
For me, like I would continually tell myself like, you're fine, like you should be fine, like you're happy, like there's no reason for you to be sad. There's no reason for you to have like crazy anxiety. And then I would, but like I can only kind of like trick myself into not thinking I have my issues for so long.
Yeah.
Whereas like if I would just be like, okay, like, like people coming over to hold your baby right now make you feel like you're like gonna die. Like, let's just honor that maybe for a month. Instead of inviting everyone over and pretending like I'm okay and crying in the closet while they're holding my baby, like just be like, now's not a good time for me.
And then me, instead of saying, you should be okay with this is the new family member, you should be okay with them holding it. You should have a smile on your face when a bunch of in-laws come over, like all this stuff, which I feel so bad about saying now. I should be like, I want to say, and I do say now, like, Ash, I recognize that. Like, I'll tell him not to come over if you don't want to. Or like, we'll set a time limit at the very beginning and acknowledge, like, we have 30 minutes and then we got to go somewhere, we got to do this, or something like that, where you're on the same page, you know?
For the record, like, I recognize this is an irrational feeling, but it's an irrational feeling that happens to me every time I have my babies. And, like, I love my in-laws, I love our friends, but I just, like, can't handle some things. And it became a thing where, like, I felt like, even though I wasn't verbalizing things down, like, he wasn't tuning into me, and there was so much anxiety, and I just needed someone to blame, and I blamed him. And there was so much stress for, like, him trying to, like, make everyone happy, and there was only, like, he kind of blamed me, and it just created this, like, terrible rolling stone of crap.
Yeah, and it just turned into a really negative emotional bank account, if you know what I'm saying.
One little issue, but we kind of handled all of our little issues that way, like suffocating our feelings, finally, like, not being able to handle it, resenting the other person for pushing us maybe like one little ounce too far when they had no idea where we even were. And
because we weren't vocalizing our feelings and emotions.
This is really long. So I would just say, figure out what your issues are and honor them, and like be very clear about what they are, so that you can take care of yourself.
And a therapist can be great to help you identify those emotions.
And so
sorry to cut you off.
Your spouse can help take care of you and not feel like they're the one who's causing the issues, or they're the one who's your issue, but that they're just your own issues and you just need help with them.
I feel like I had a romanticized vision of what marriage would be like, how we would just get each other's feelings and finish each other's sandwiches and sentences, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but in reality, 9 times out of 10, I do not guess right Ashley's intentions for saying something, or a look, or her tone of voice, or what she meant by what she said. Like 9 times out of 10, I would say I get it wrong. And so we've learned to, like, communicate very clearly. Instead of saying, you did this to me, or you made me feel this way, say,
when we first started, we would say...
We would run with stories in our heads
that's
easily.
What we would say. When we first started therapy, we would say, Dallin, the story I'm telling myself in my head...
So we learned to say that.
...is that you're trying to be a jerk right now.
The story I'm telling myself in my head is that you're really pissed at me, and you wish that I would have done this and this and this. And that would either be true, or more likely, it would be like, no, Ashley just had a really annoying conversation with somebody, or the kids are really driving her crazy right now, in the best way. Kids watching later in life, and it comes out as stress and anger to the other person, and they were sorry about it, you know. But if you just ran with a story in your head, you would have been like, yeah, well, screw you, or something, and all of a sudden you're fighting when you really didn't need to be, but you just weren't communicating your feelings to each other.
You had a big one. We had a big epiphany the other day, I think on our trip.
What?
I had no idea you did this, but whenever I am feeling angry or stressed, you immediately think it's because I'm not a good enough person for her.
Ooh, that's a big
And Dallin
problem.
would have these big reactions to, like, my, like little, like if I was just a little snappy, and it would be this big reaction that I wouldn't understand.
Feeling responsible for Ashley's emotions.
And he finally said it. He was like, well, it's just because you're just saying that I'm not a good enough person, or like, I know you're thinking I'm not worthy of our family, or of you, or of our marriage. And I was like, what? No, like I'm just grouchy right now. Like, I've been in the car for 7 hours, and I'm sorry. Like, be mad at me for being snappy, but please don't assume I don't think you're a good person.
Man, and I've done a lot of self-examination, wondering where that comes from, and I think a lot of it has to do with, I mean, obviously, like, a lot of people grew up as Christian, or we're still Christians, but we just have a lot healthier outlook on God's view of us and how much He actually loves us, instead of how, growing up, I thought God was so finicky, and like, if you sinned, or did, like, if you, like, didn't repent good enough or something, that God disapproved of you. And I got into such a mindset where, like, one little mistake, or somebody was mad or something, equaled I wasn't good enough, and it's my job to fix you so that we're all happy.
Right.
That's getting pretty deep there, but I definitely learned to ingrain that deep down, and but I've come to know that God loves us so much, and we are worthy just because we are humans, and it, like, mistakes are good because you learn things, versus mistakes are bad because God is mad at you. And I no longer have that super unhealthy mindset, and that has helped my self-esteem and self-confidence so much. And now, when Ashley's mad, I don't take it personally and wonder, what did I do? Like, I feel like more often than not now, I'm still working on it, but I'm able to say, I just am able to recognize Ashley's having a hard time, wondering what I can do to help. And I don't immediately put it on myself as I did something wrong. I'm not a good enough husband, because if I were a good enough husband, Ashley wouldn't be sad or mad or frustrated or stressed right now. Like, I was a professional put it on myself-er.
Like, when you get mad, I'm not like, what did I do? What did I do to make him this way? I'm just like, oh, something's biting Dallin today. Like, I wonder what it is.
Yeah. And I for whatever reason, got really good at that growing up.
Yep. Okay.
And I don't blame my mom. I don't blame my family or anything. It's just the way that I learned to cope in my world.
That's why kids are hard. Like, raising kids, you never know what you're going to say to, like, create, like, this whole life outlook for them.
Yeah. I'd read something where kids just want attention and affection from their parents. And they learn that people need to be fundamentally okay before they can, like, look outward and take care of other people. So some kids, and I think this was me, learned to take care of other people's emotions so that I could finally get some attention and love. I don't have really specifics, memories of that, but I've read that is one thing that happens in childhood, and I think that happened to me.
Behavior is funny.
People do what they do because of what happens to them when they do it.
Like, rational.
It's not rational, it's all emotional.
Or logical.
So I guess we've learned a lot about emotional intelligence, and then how to speak our emotions and validate our own emotions and each other's emotions. You don't have to validate actions. Some people can do behaviors that are totally not okay, but feelings and emotions should be validated. Like, because you're a sane, logical human being, I can see where you're coming from. I can see why you might feel that way. Like, I validate that, and that's it. Like, I want you to know I'm here for you. I recognize that. I'm here for you. That must be so hard. Like, if you can do that instead of say, well, you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel this way. I did that. I didn't mean to do that. Why do you feel that way? Like, it is... Our therapist said it's like a volleying back and forth. That must be so hard. I can see why you would feel that way. Whew. Yeah, I thank you so much. And this too, like, oh man. Well, have you considered this way? Are you open to considering ways to... And then, like, volley back and forth versus... If somebody tosses a feeling or emotion over to you and you just say, why do you feel that way? Buck up. Or, no, you shouldn't see it that way. It's this. Then they basically drop the ball and the emotional... And you're not friends. And the emotional intimacy is lost. Yep. So when you learn to validate your own feelings and emotions and those of your partner, things get a lot better real fast.
This is getting heavy, and I said this was a fun podcast. So
I feel like this has been good, though.
It is.
Hopefully... everybody in the podcast, go comment on the Facebook page, Taking Sides with the Marriage Podcast Facebook group, and let us know your thoughts on this. And if you're watching the video here, comment your thoughts on this if you had any similar experiences, or if you have found that to be the same in your relationships, whatever they may be.
Yep.
Cool? Cool. Okay, so we know that things get heavy here sometimes, like they just did. So we've been doing some fun things lately, asking for weird food combos that people have
It started with Dallin showing.
How did this even start?
It was like our first year of marriage. We went to your mom's house and you were like,
eggs on
pancakes.
pancakes.
My mom's making the best breakfast. And she made a normal breakfast with waffles and eggs. And then Dallin grabbed his waffle, put peanut butter all over it, and then put the egg on top, and then put syrup on top of it, and then
so
ate
good.
it. Like,
and
totally
we got a lot of comments saying that was weird, and we also got a lot of comments of people saying they love doing that. And
There's
so that was like
for everybody.
We were like, what other weird food things are out there? So we asked, and you guys delivered, and we still have them coming in all the time at takingsideswiththedashleys@gmail.com. Okay. So this one is from Mariah. She says, hey Dashleys, my name is Mariah, and I'm a nanny from New Hampshire.
Oh, I was a nanny, and now I am again.
Now you are
my
again.
Own children.
I love listening to both your podcasts, and recently it was brought to my attention one of my food preferences is not exactly typical. My family ate this combo regularly, and I had no idea it was odd until I was an adult, and now I get severely judged. But don't worry, that doesn't stop me from indulging in this delicious meal. Cheese pizza with peanut butter on it.
You would be best friends with her. Those are your two favorite foods.
I love pizza and I love peanut butter. I must admit I have never had those two together though. But she says that it's really good. She says preferably Pizza Chef pizza with Skippy peanut butter. Worth a try, I promise.
No, I won't.
She put 7 exclamation points after that.
Also, she wants a third Dashley baby.
Keep doing what you do and let it be known that a third Dashley baby would make my life complete.
I've been thinking this weekend, I think I would name my third baby if it were a girl, Summer.
Summer?
I really like that name.
That's cute.
But
all right.
Don't talk to me about it, because if you tell me you like my baby names, I always change them. I don't know why I do that.
Don't even bring it up.
Don't even bring it up.
All right,
it would be
let's
better
do
if you told me you hated that name.
Okay, everybody tell Ashley that you hate that name so that she will like it more.
It's like a rebellious thing in me. Like if someone tells me they're like, oh, I love that baby name, I'm like, well, maybe something's wrong with it. Or like maybe I want it to be more unique, or I don't even know. Unexplainable. Inexplainable.
Okay, we'll do another question and we'll jump to some funny things that old people say. Cool?
We should try the weird food things sometimes. We should do
We could do a whole vlog of that.
Trying weird
food combos from our followers.
That's funny. That's a good idea.
Okay, let's do it. All right, let's move on to our next one. This one is called Can't Get Baby to Sleep in Crib. Send help!
Okay, this is my advice for all parents. Children just do whatever they want. And you just need to find a way to sleep.
So basically, go into a farthest away part of the house, put on earplugs.
No, I don't do that. I don't do that. But if
we don't do that. That was a joke.
No, I really don't. I like hate letting. I can't even think or function when my kids are crying. So I've never let them cry it out. Which
this has been a point of contention for Ashley and I, because I always wanted to listen to our pediatrician's advice and let them cry it out and learn to self-soothe.
I don't think babies can learn things.
I've learned from Ashley that there was a whole other argument and a whole other large crowd on the internet, I'd say 50-50 maybe, that believe in nurturing and the whole other side of things where you don't let them cry it out and that type of thing. So we could get into that.
Welcome to one of our biggest fights.
Let's just all I'm gonna say.
Well, Dallin.
All I'm gonna say is we've pretty much never let them cry it out, and now they are still good sleepers 2 years later.
Yep.
And James has been a lot better sleeper than George. We'll just say that. Okay, let's read her email. This one is also anonymous.
Okay.
Hey, Dashleys, I am from Canada, and I love watching your vlogs and listening to both podcasts. Super huge fan of you guys. Well, thank you, especially the Costco hauls. I'm longing for more.
I cannot.
So many people are asking for more Costco hauls.
I just can't do it in a mask. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
There's only so much, like, scope for the imagination in a Costco haul. And then there's, like, even less if you're wearing a mask. And it's just your eyes and a voice.
We could do a Sam's Club haul. They don't require you to wear masks. But the Costco near us, I don't know if it's nationwide.
I think it is.
Or all state. But Costco here requires us to
and you can't
wear
bring
a mask.
more than... It's parties of 2, so, like, we couldn't bring our kids. And
yeah.
it's just
yeah,
hard.
it's a mess. And the kids would also have to wear masks. George is not about to put a mask on his face, ever.
He won't even put a sticker. No, we just
He just barely started putting stickers on himself.
He's like, I used to be afraid, but now I'm brave with stickers because I know they don't hurt. And
we could probably do that with face masks,
You
too.
go, buddy. You go.
We'll see. Anyways, I'm not sure if my problem is necessarily for taking sides, but here it goes. All right. My boyfriend and I are having a bit of trouble with getting our 7-month-old to sleep in her own crib.
Well, who doesn't?
Well, I'd say that this is taking sides worthy because, as you can see, parenting approaches are a big deal in a relationship.
Let me tell you, like, that's what we did with our first 2. If baby at number 3 ever graces us with his or her presence,
right.
There is a lady on Instagram who I completely resonate with, who I think has all of the, like, medical training, who has children of her own, and who seems like a very nurturing person, but who also, like, she's like the dog whisperer. She's like the baby whisperer. Like, she just knows things that I never knew about babies. And I haven't taken her courses, but I watch her Instagram stories. Her Instagram handle is Taking Cara Babies, and it's taking
Cara.
and then Cara babies. I think her name is Cara.
Oh.
But would that I had known her tips. I think it would have changed.
She is really good. I've read
our
some
lives.
too.
And she has courses for...
like, so many baby books we've read just give you, like, principles and high-level stuff.
No, I don't want principles.
She dives into, like, how to do stuff.
This is what the lighting
This is what your baby actually needs.
This is the fan your baby needs. Like, this is how you should swaddle your baby. This is, like, the optimal timeline for a baby during the day. And this is how you encourage sleep.
Yeah,
and
it's good.
It's so good. So, if I were you, she has different courses for, like, every age group, because Dallin and I are failures. Like, our kids didn't sleep for the first 2 years of their life, both of them. Like,
well, James
literally
did a lot better than George.
No one should ever ask us how to help train their babies to sleep better, because George woke up 9 times a night until he was 2.5, and James stopped napping when she was 3 months old. Like, we have the worst track record with babies and sleep. We can help you not at all. But if I were to have another, I would religiously follow Taking Care of Babies and her courses. Because
Yeah.
they're gentle in that it's not like screaming it out, but they're also like purposeful and like trying to create good habits gently with your baby. And when I have babies, I am an emotional like wreck. Like I can't do baby crying. I can't do like I can do it, but like I need to soothe. So I would just be crying in the hallway.
Yeah, it's racking. It's nerve-wracking. It's very anxiety-inducing for me too. I get pumped with adrenaline when kids cry, or like, and it makes me just like
It's a new condition.
It is.
It's called like Down sounditis.
It's like I gotta shake it out. I gotta go and do like 50 pull-ups or something. It's something that I do not handle well, never have, and so we are not good people to ask about how to get kids to sleep. And all I will say is that
the situation is Dallin has to leave the house, and I am like crying, soothing the baby.
Yeah, so
Because like, but that's just like the first like 3 months when I'm literally drowning in pregnancy hormones.
the best thing we can say is ask your pediatrician first, and then secondly,
Go to taking care of
therapy
babies.
is way less expensive than we had imagined it to be. And even if it is more expensive than you think you can handle, I will say there's no better investment. And it's an investment, not an expense, with huge dividends for happiness and getting along with each other and building like a cohesive, like functional family.
Dallin,
Like therapy
you literally
and working with a qualified family therapist and a family counselor too, like who is clinically trained in these things. These are all skills that nobody teaches anybody.
Right.
And you should go, and I guess on average I'd say it's like 90, 100, maybe up to $150 an hour. Really, it varies. But like find one with good reviews in your area, or BetterHelp.com is a sponsor of this
I
podcast.
would go in person though.
I would. It's like. It's way less. It's way more affordable than you would think, and it pays way huge dividends. Like
We were just in such a
please.
weird place where Dallin was like, "What is going on with my
I just
wife?"
needed to
and
learn.
Also, like,
I mean, you don't know what you don't know.
what is going on with this baby?
It's
and
so
I was
helpful
like,
to have people,
I
an
just-
outside person, like examine you who is professional at it and teach you things about yourself that are so helpful.
well, like especially like I was like, "What is going on with me? Like, what? Why? I've never felt this before. Like
Yeah.
depression. Never walked through that lane."
For real. And so
So-
I will say also that our personal therapist is starting his own online thing. And as soon as he gets it ramped up, we're going to give you guys his info. He's waiting to get he's building his own website and everything. So he can't do it right now. But as soon as it's there, we're going to give you guys his info.
Because-
and he is going to be available to you
It's
if you want
scary
to
to
do
find-
to do face chatting. Or if you're in the Utah area, you can come up and meet with him too.
Well, it's just scary to find a therapist. Like,
It is.
'Cause
We
you're,
went
like,
through one.
I
We
don't
didn't
even-
resonate with our first one. This is our second one.
At
We
that-
got lucky with number 2.
and at that point, like, I didn't even talk to you about my deepest, darkest secrets, like feelings, and you didn't talk to me.
And
then to go to a stranger and be like, "Here's what's going on. These things I've never told anyone." It's a scary thing.
He also has a way of drawing it out of you.
Well, he's just very like kind.
Just because he's a professional validator, like he doesn't like he'll just say that must be so hard. I feel for you. Stuff like
And
that.
down, and I just start crying.
And we're just like, thank you. So
and then we're like,
and
"Why are we crying?"
on top of that, his like actual knowledge about parenting and all different stages, like
Just,
if
like,
at
the
all
behavioral
possible, like
science
fit it
around
into your
stuff.
budget. And yeah, so as soon as his website is up, like we're helping him. We'll give you his info if you're interested because he's awesome. So
Yeah.
there's that. I wish we could be of better help to you, but we disagree on recommendations, and neither has worked for either of our kids. So if nothing
Taking
else,
care of babies. Go to her.
yeah, taking care of babies. Maybe message her on Instagram.
No, she just
See
has.
what-
She has all these wonderful saved stories and courses. Like the saved stories,
Really?
I've read through them and I'm like, what? No, how did I not know that for 2
Does
kids?
Ralphie Simply on Purpose have saved stories about that too, or is that more like older
Taking
kids?
care of babies is literally like your baby is newborn until like a year, and she has all the knowledge you need for that, and probably to 2. I'm not sure. And it, like specifically like caring for your baby and helping your baby sleep, and just like baby stuff. I just remember bringing home George and being like,
What do we do with him?
I know like I love him, but I don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
He turned out fine, but
Yep.
it could have been easier.
Yeah. All right, Ash, we got a funny things old people say email from Kara.
Okay.
Hey Dashleys, my husband and I were dying laughing listening to your reaction to my weird food thing, peanut butter pickle taco. Oh yeah, that one was gross. So thank you for the laughs. Over the holiday weekend, my dad told me my grandma used to say, "Tell 'em what for,"
That's like telling someone off.
to babies in response to their babble.
Oh.
Oh, so like, when the baby's like talking or cooing or crying
Here,
or whatever.
I'll do it. I'll
she
be the
would-
baby and you be the old man.
Okay. No, the old lady, the grandma.
Old lady. Ah.
Tell 'em what for. That's funny. I feel that's funny. That's a good one. Tell 'em what for. Babies in response to that. We got a kick out of it because no one could really decide what it meant.
It means nothing.
I mean, it's just grandmas talking to the
just
babies.
things.
It's cute. That's a good one. I like that one. All right, we got another one, but this is not. I don't think it's an old person saying. They're saying they're having some drama with their grandpa in their family. Well, we do love drama. Hey Dashleys, I love you and your family. You are a highlight to my days anytime I get to see your vlogs or listen to your podcasts. Well, thank you so much. I am looking for advice. My husband has an extremely trying relationship and rocky past with his own dad. His parents got divorced when he was 16. His dad had an affair and left his mom and family on Father's Day. Ooh, that's hard. His family was verbally abusive to him growing up, and when his dad left, it forced my husband to step up and become the man of the house. He has to work to help provide for his siblings and missed out on a ton of normal teenager type things. He has seen a counselor to deal with the anger and resentment he's had with his father, and the relationship is better now, but it's very surface level. I know he forgives his dad for everything, but he doesn't trust him, and I know he doesn't feel a need for a deeper relationship. I fully support him in this decision. His siblings have better relationships with their dad.
Okay.
We have the first grandchild on his side. My husband's mom is a big part of our child's life. She makes the effort to see him, whether in person or on FaceTime. She will make the 45-minute drive down to see us or to plan things for us to come up. His father remarried a couple of years ago, and they also live about 45 minutes north of us. And they've only seen our child 4 times in person. And they don't make an effort to come down or reach out in any way. They don't come when invited, and they rarely invite us up. I send pictures at least once a week, and I usually get a response of a thumbs up. I guess my real concern is if one day our child asks us why Grandpa doesn't have the same relationship with him as he does with his future cousins. I know I can't force a relationship with Grandpa and my child, but I want to do all I can to make sure my child doesn't feel like an outsider, and I don't ever want them to think it's my fault.
I don't. So it's kind of like what you said. There's kind of like the fantasy relationship we want our kids to have, and we want them to be treasured and cherished and have like this beautiful relationship with all of the family members, and sometimes it doesn't happen. My sister kind of talked to me about this, and she, like, her and her husband like are really smart, and they just read a lot of books, and they're reading about like relationships, and one of the things that the book was talking about was kind of what you said, like the only thing you can control is your relationship with your child, and essentially like being their mother, like that's going to be one of the biggest relationships that's going to determine their self-worth. I don't know, like I think you can always just blame it on that person, like, oh, grandpa's just quiet, or he's just kind of alone. I don't know, like just kind of play it off in a way where it's not like grandpa doesn't like you, so he doesn't do things. I mean, you could even be more than surface with it and say like, oh, like grandma and grandpa used to be married and now they're not, and it's kind of hard for grandpa to connect with family members still, and it has nothing to do with you, but it's just it's just one of his struggles. I don't
She
know.
said that grandpa has a better relationship with the other kids.
Well,
So she doesn't want the child to wonder if it's something about them or something like that.
I don't know, like you have one of your grandpas is kind of standoffish, but you know he loves you, you know, and
Yeah, I just
somehow,
know it's grandpa. It's not anything
it's
that
just
I've
how
done.
grandpa is. But
So like I would just not make a big deal out of it and just be like, oh, that's just how grandpa is, and we love him,
you could,
and he loves you, and I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't worry about it too much personally.
if you want to be really proactive, like you can, you know, like make stories about that grandpa, like something that, you know, like somehow try and connect them, like whether it's you draw pictures with your son, is it a son, a daughter, the first with your child, and like deliver them to grandpa's house, or make cookies and surprise grandpa, and just kind of like make a super effort and see if maybe it's reciprocated. There might be, I can only imagine there's got to be a lot of kind of like tiptoey feelings in this situation. Like your father-in-law knows he has a strained relationship with his son, and it's really hard to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Like people just, if they're anything like me, tend to avoid them. So you might have to make kind of like an extra effort to let him know, like, hey, I know you have a whatever relationship with your son, my husband, but I love you and I want to have a relationship with you, and our son loves you and wants to have a relationship with you. Just keep trying, kind of. Maybe do more than just send pictures of your son. Maybe make sure on his birthday to like text him and say something nicer than like happy birthday, and just be like, we're thinking of you and we love you so much, and here's a picture we drew for you. And I don't know, like if like Dallin's grandpa, the air conditioner one, I know he's really into gardening and I'm really into gardening, like find a similarity to kind of like connect on. I think that might be a good idea. I
think the principle behind it that you want to teach your child is that they're not responsible for anybody else's behavior or emotions. So as long as your child grows up with that principle internalized, then they'll just wonder, what's up with grandpa, or what can I do to love him? Say, like, or they're not going to be like, why is it my fault that grandpa's mad or doesn't want to come over? Like the principle behind it, and as long as your child understands this very clearly, they will have very healthy emotional intelligence too if they internalize this, knowing that it's not his fault grandpa's acting the way he is, and he's not responsible for grandpa's emotions or actions. He's only responsible for his own actions and his own emotions and his own behavior. And then you don't got to worry about anything else, because your child understands emotions and it has self-esteem and self-confidence and self-worth. And so grandpa's not going to have any effect on that.
I mean, it could be as simple as like, grandpa's our family and we love him, and sometimes it's hard for him to know that people love him. So we want to make sure we want to do extra special things for grandpa or something, or I don't know.
Sure.
Could be anything.
Yeah. Cool. Well, those are some good questions. Thanks for sending those in, you guys. That was today's episode of Taking Sides. If you're watching on video and this is your first time, go join us on the podcast. On Spotify is probably one of the most common places to listen. Just go to Spotify and type in Taking Sides, the marriage podcast, or just type in the Dashleys, and then Big Little Life and Taking Sides will both pop up in the podcast section. Or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. There are so many other podcast apps. Anchor itself too. Spotify just bought Anchor, so I think...
On Anchor, you can send us a voice memo. And sometimes we play those, so that's, if you want to do that, that's a cool place to go. Yeah, you can send us voice messages too. Okay, go subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to them. And there's new episodes every week. We release a new episode every Monday on Big Little Life and Taking Sides. So thanks, guys, and go join us over there. We look forward to having with you. And to send in your submissions, just do it to takingsideswiththedashleys@gmail.com. Cool.
Okay, see you guys.